In 2009, a movie called The Forgotten Ones was wrapping up in production. However, the crew didn't think that it lived up to their original expectations. Or in other words, it sucked. So they decided to completely remake it with a different director, script, and cast. And they ended up making The Lost Tribe. So, is this movie doomed from the start given that they tried it once and it didn't work? I don't know. Let's find out. It opens up on an archaeological dig site where they seem to have found an elongated skull, which they claim is the missing link. Cut to a church, and we see a priest who just got a very special assignment. Basically, he's supposed to find this dig site and shut it down. The church fears that if this evidence gets out, it would prove the theory of evolution and thus destroy their religion, or something like that. I don't really think the church would have a team to hunt down and kill people for finding evidence like this, but what do I know? I'm no pope. We do get to see who this mysterious murderer is, and it's Lance Hendrickson. So that makes 5 Bigfoot movies he's been in now. Sasquatch, Abominable, Devil on the Mountain, Big Legend, and now The Lost Tribe. Give that guy an award. Anyway, he finds the camp, tracks down all the workers, and one by one, eliminates them all. Now, we're on a boat.
I'm on a boat! I'm on a boat! Everybody look at me, cause I'm sailing on a boat!
These two guys, Tom and Chris, are here to try to get funding for some big idea they have. It has something to do with music streaming or broadband internet service. I don't really know, but they've arranged a meeting with some high-up Indian official. And if they win his approval, they'll have billions of customers. Hearing this, Joe, who kind of looks like an off-brand Jon Favreau, agrees to finance the entire thing. Joining them on the boat is Joe's girlfriend Alexis and Tom's girlfriend Anna. They all celebrate their new success, and while Anna is sleeping with a football, seriously, who cuddles up with a football? Anyway, while they're sleeping, they wake up to hear a commotion outside. Some dude's in the middle of the ocean. They get him on board, and he's freaking out, and he looks injured, but what happened to him? He's yelling for them to turn around, but he also seems crazy, so they inject him with something to calm him down and figure out what to do next. Joe calls the Coast Guard, but Tom turns off the radio, not wanting this to slow them down and miss their big meeting. So they plan on getting back to land, going to that meeting, and then they'll get this guy to the hospital. But in the dead of night, he wakes up and escapes. He knows the boat's heading right towards wherever he just came from, so he steers it off course and right into some rocks, causing water to start gushing into the boat. Everyone manages to escape, and they're all washed up on shore of some uncharted desert island.
The ship's aground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle.
They salvage what they can from the wreckage, but it's not much. They do get their radio working and call for help, but they don't really know where they are, so let's face it, help probably isn't coming. So they have to set up some kind of camp and stay there for the next few nights, until they can figure out what to do next. Chris goes off to find some firewood, and he hears something in the distance. It turns out it's just a dog, but then he finds a dead body. The dude who wrecked their boat. They bury him in the sand and move on, knowing that if there's a dog on the island, then its owner is probably here somewhere too. Tom and Anna go exploring a bit, and they eventually find a camp. There's a lot of guns here and a cell phone. Well, that's going to come in handy. But it goes dead after receiving only one text that says find the remaining team and terminate. While they look around, something is watching them from the trees, and from this viewpoint, it looks like a poor man's predator. After a while, the couple sees a flare, their signal that their friends need some help. So they go running back to the beach, and when they get there, they see the guy that they just buried hours ago has been dug up, and all that's left is a bloody hole. What animal would dig somebody up like that?
What happened?
Chris starts to blame Tom for this whole mess, seeing how he was supposed to be on guard when the boat crashed, or I don't know, something like that. They get into a fight and Tom wanders away, but in the morning he hasn't come back. and Anna's getting worried. She goes to look for him, thinking that he went to that camp. But when they get there, nothing. It's all packed up. Talk about leave no trace. Well, the group follows the trail, feeling that they're being watched the whole time, and something is definitely jumping around in the trees. That's when everyone starts freaking out, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a monster on the island after all. Anna and Joe want to keep looking for Tom, while Chris and Alexis decide to head back to the beach. Anna and Joe find that dog and follow it back to the dig site. Here they look for clues to what happened on this island, and this is where we learn about the missing link and the church hunting them all down and so on. But the archaeologist explains that it doesn't look like this is evolution at all, but instead a mutation, and that these creatures could still be alive today. Just then, Lance Hendrickson comes in attacking, and he kills Joe. Anna takes off, but it doesn't take long for this old man to catch up with her. Seriously, he was 70 at the time. I mean, he isn't much of a threat, but I guess he has a gun, so Anna's kind of screwed. He asks her where the others are, and confused, she tries to tell him about the boat and getting washed ashore and all that, but he's not buying it. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, the priest is attacked. A hand through the belly. I hate it when that happens. Well, that sucks. Their big name and talent just died. I guess they couldn't afford him anymore. Anna sees the creature and books it, falling down a mudslide and walking through these weird, gooey grape things, getting their goop all over her. But she's not fast enough, and the creature catches right up with her. But he doesn't see her. It seems like that grape goo is camouflaging her, and now she's invisible to the creatures. That's going to be good to know. Later that night, Anna's out searching for Tom, and she finds the creature's lair. She goes inside, and I'm starting to get real strong Descent vibes here, with both the main characters being covered in stuff and hiding from things that can hear them but not see them. She ends up finding all of her friends, dead, and then she eventually finds Tom. And guess what? He is still alive, but he's pretty messed up. He begs Anna to kill him, as he has no hope of getting out of here. But first, there's something in his pocket, a ring he was going to use to propose with. In a pretty emotional scene, Anna mercy kills her new fiancé. After she cries a bit, the creature's leader comes in and he means business. Did he just say, "Give me a kiss"? Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Well, if that's all they want, just give the guy a kiss. Anna jumps into the water and manages to escape out of the cave. But now she's being followed and hunted down. All hope of staying invisible is gone, now that the grape goo's all washed off, and all Anna can do is run. But these guys are more seriously acrobatic than a circus performer, and she never stood a chance. She tries to climb a tree, but as we've seen, they have no problems up here. So she moves on to using a machete, and she does manage to hurt one, but she too falls from the tree. Now on the ground and surrounded, the alpha male comes in and picks her up and roughs her around a bit. But instead of killing her, it seems like he might have other plans, and Anna's day just went from bad to really bad. She ends up using a stick to get free, but that only really makes him mad. The camera goes all shaky for a bit, and I kind of feel like I'm going to get sick. After a while, Anna sees the others bowing to their leader, and I can't help but notice it must be fall on the island. Look at all the leaves falling down. Anyway, she also bows, giving in and showing her loyalty. But then he jumps, and she picks up the machete and stabs the monster through the chest, killing him. When the others see what just happened, they kind of just look at her and then jump away. In the final scene, we see Anna made a makeshift raft, like Tom Hanks.
Wilson, where are you? Wilson!
And floats off into the ocean. And that was the Lost Tribe. I'm a little unsure if the creatures are a Bigfoot or not, so what do you think? They look like they're an offshoot of Homo sapiens, they call them the missing link, they're hairy, and they live in the woods. I didn't get a real good look at their feet, but I'm guessing they're pretty big too, so I say sure, it's a Bigfoot movie. Although admittingly they are a bit more savage than what we typically see. Going back to what I mentioned in the very beginning, that this is kind of a remake of a movie that they weren't happy with, it makes me wonder how bad was that original movie? I mean, The Lost Tribe wasn't really that great. The best thing about it was Lance Hendrickson, and he was barely more than just a cameo. The whole movie was dark too, and I don't mean like in tone, I mean like it was hard to see. Even when they were out in the daylight, it felt like I was watching it through sunglasses. There's a lot of moments that also try to be really dramatic, and I get it, Anna Mercy killing her boyfriend would be. But remember, this is a monster movie, not a Hallmark movie. I will say, I like the look of the creatures, and some of the acrobatic work was pretty impressive. I know they're hung up there on wires, but when they were fighting on that tree, it looked pretty good. And the suits are all practical, so that's good. The language that they spoke was creepy too. It kind of sounded like the dragons in Skyrim.
Amikes Mako. Salakanir. Coming near.
But all that isn't enough for me to recommend The Lost Tribe, unless you're a die-hard Bigfoot Missing Link movie fan. I give it 1.5 aging Lance Hendricksons out of 4.